Sasaki Chiba. I am the Area Director of Christian Medical and Dental Association of Augusta. This is Mission Focus. This is a video program that introduces local healthcare professionals who are passionate about the mission. Today we have Dr. Pamela Tipler. She's a physician in Augusta area, and today she would like to share with us about her mission experience in Uganda.
My name's Dr. Pamela Tipler. I grew up in north central Pennsylvania. I went to medical school in Philadelphia, but before I started medical school, I actually had joined the Army. So I went to med school on a health profession scholarship program. After I finished medical school, I went to Washington State at Madigan Army Medical Center to do my residency training in internal medicine. After that, I went to Fort Rucker, Alabama to go to flight surgeon school to learn to be a flight surgeon and to fly medevac. I deployed for a year to Egypt as a flight surgeon, and then I got orders to move to Augusta at Eisenhower Army Medical Center. And then after about 2 years while I was here, I decided that I felt the Lord was calling me into a different direction, and I went on my first mission to Guatemala because I speak Spanish, and felt that that's the reason why I needed to get out. And so I got out of the Army and I started working at Augusta University Medical Center as a hospitalist.
So that you are really passionate about the mission you are involved in Uganda. So if you can just share with us that what is that like and what do you do?
So the first time I went to Uganda in 2017, I met a man named Patrick Senyonjo. He started out in the slums of Kampala. His parents died when he was a child, and so he was raised on the streets because he had nowhere to go. But he saw a need and felt a calling by the Lord to get other children off the streets. So when he turned 18, he started an organization called Raising Up Hope for Uganda. And the organization itself, we get children off the streets, we put them in a halfway house, we teach them about Christ, also feed them and start to provide their education. And then from there, they go to one of our orphanages. We have a boys' house, a girls' house, and a women's house. And once they make it to the orphanage in the village that I live in called Nakawade, we have a nursery and primary school, and then we also have a secondary school. And at that point, the kids all get a sponsor from America through an organization called Beautiful Response, and they provide their education. And my job with the organization itself, with both Ruhu, Raising Up Hope for Uganda, and Beautiful Response on the American side, is I lead the medical teams and provide the medical care. So I do wound care for all the street kids. And then I also will buy a box of medications and supplies and go to set up a makeshift clinic in the slums or in different rural villages where there's no access to medical care or limited access to care, and have a clinic for the day. But I go to the same places so that there's continuity of care. So everybody that I see has their book from the last time I saw them, and I'm like, oh, there was my handwriting from last time, and do the treatment in those villages or in the slums. And then I also built a clinic there where our secondary school is in a village called Bujuko.
So when you are not there, is anybody taking care of those people?
Mm-hmm. So I work with a local doctor called, his name is Titus, and Titus comes on all the medical outreaches with me. But he also, when I'm not over there, then he's still taking care of people and going to the outreach, still continuing outreaches, and I just send money every month to provide the medications.
Maybe you can just share with us one or maybe two stories from your mission experience.
So when I'm in the slums, we have our program every Tuesday and Thursday with the street boys. These are boys that have not come off the street yet and haven't gone to the halfway house. So they're all still on drugs. And the drug that they use is called mafuka. And what they do is they take a plastic bottle and put a piece of fabric inside of it, and then they put fuel in there, and then they huff the fumes to stay high to mask their hunger and their pain. These fumes make them not feel the pain and hunger, but then they also become very aggressive and they fight all the time. So in the program, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we gather them together and we feed them, but we also sing and play games and give them a Bible lesson. And there was one boy, Paul, so one of the times that I was there, there were increasing numbers of police roundups, and what the police do is they go through the slums and they just grab a bunch of boys and beat them, and then they throw them into a truck and then take them to jail for no reason at all. And then they started reportedly they started running out of room for them in jails, so they would take them as shooting target practice for police recruits. And Patrick and I were sitting down and talking, and I said, Patrick, we need to do something. So we made this secret mission that we were going to do the next day, and we gathered up 20 boys straight off the streets while they were still on drugs, took them straight out to the Village of Hope. We played with them. We just played with them all day long, playing soccer, playing twister, everything, basketball, anything you can think of, we were playing just to kind of like get them exhausted and work all the drugs out of their system. And then at the end of the day, we sat down in the church with them and we said, this is what we're doing. We wanted to get you off the streets. This was the largest number of kids that we ever took straight off the street and while they were still on drugs. And this is what we want to do. And we asked them, what do you want? And all these boys who were in so much pain and despair for so much time that I had seen them with now had hope in their eyes. And they stood up and said, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an ambassador. I want to be a chef. I want to be a pilot. And you just saw hope in their eyes. Then the next day was not the greatest day. So that was my best day of my life. The next day, they were all withdrawing, and it was very rough. I was doing medical treatment for them, making sure that they didn't have HIV and didn't have malaria, and the ones that did have malaria I was treating and taking care of all their, like doing full physical exams on them. It was a little rough. They were very aggressive. They were fighting, so it was not such a great day. But on that so the next day, on Tuesday, Paul came up to me and said that he didn't want to stay there anymore, and could we take him back to the slums? And it broke my heart. Paul and Shafiq were the two older boys, and I had talked with them on Monday night, and I said, you guys are the big boys. I need you to be the big brothers and take care of these boys, because they're going to look up to you. And I gave them the pep talk. We prayed, and then on Tuesday, Paul said he wanted to go back to the slums. And Tuesday afternoons is when we had the program, so we drove him in the van, and the entire time I was crying. Paul used to say to me, he's like, Mommy, I'm so sorry. And so we took him back to the slums, and then all day Wednesday, apparently he sat in Titus's clinic and just cried and said, I made a mistake, I need to go back. And on Thursday, when we were down in the slums, I said to Patrick, I said, Paul really wants to go back, but I said, I understand if we can't, because you have to show an example that if you do that you can't just run away and come back and forth like this. We relied on them. But Paul made me a promise. He said, I will do better, Mommy, I promise. And so we took him back, and he actually did very well. He said, Mommy, you're the only one that's ever loved me. My real mom never loved me, and I will be the strong boy. I will be the big brother. And Paul's now in our schools and doing very well, and he actually leads praise on our church services. He's in the praise band, praise group, so they sing and dance on the stage, and he actually wants to be a pastor.
I noticed that you call them as children, and then they call you mom. Mm-hmm. It seems like there's more than the doctor and the patient relationship right there.
Yeah, because the children in the program, like in Ruhu, are usually, I mean, I'll see them for if they have malaria or their cold and flu stuff, but with the actual program itself, I'm more of like, I'm either mommy or auntie. So for them, I'm very much a parent or an aunt to them, whereas when I'm in the doing the medical outreaches themselves, I do get a lot of the women that will say, thank you, Mommy, for taking care of me, especially like the women that are pregnant, and I bring them the mama birthing kits, but they'll often say like, thank you, Mommy, and Titus calls me Mama Africa, so I'm looked at as more of a guardian than as a doctor.
So are you looking for any volunteer to go with you to serve in that community?
Absolutely. I bring students and residents, nurses, I bring everybody anybody that wants to go that's expressed an interest. We have plenty of space for many people. We do have showers, usually hot water as long as the power's on. And we have clean water for people to drink. We bring in clean water system that we have already there. And it's a completely safe home. It's locked down at night with barbed wire across the top, so if people are worried. But the village itself is very safe. When I do bring students with me, I always tell them, like, do as I say, don't do as I do. Like, if you're going to go out together, go out in groups. If you're going to go out after dark, I said, but I prefer you not to go out after dark. But I know the people all know me in my village, so I don't worry about that as much for myself. But I always tell them, do as I say and don't do as I do. If I have a large group with me, then I get a rental car or a van, or if it's just me and one other person, then I do the boat rides. Unless someone's uncomfortable with riding that way, then I'll absolutely get a rental car. But anybody that wants to come, the more hands, the better. And there's other ways to volunteer. Like if you can't travel physically, you can donate through the organization through Beautiful Response. You can collect medical supplies. There are many ways, or just prayer. You know, any way, anything's is a blessing to us.
Thank you very much. Our website link to her mission work is included in the description of this video. And please consider supporting her ministry. And again, thank you very much for joining our program, and may the grace of Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.